Rain tapped steadily against the cracked window of apartment 3B. Maria sat at the kitchen table, staring at the stack of bills that seemed taller every month. The diner shifts barely kept food on the table for her 6-year-old daughter, Lily, and now rent was due again. Maria rubbed her temples. She had $143 left in her account. Rent was $950. It felt like an impossible math problem with only one answer: failure. She looked at Lily, who sat on the floor humming to herself while coloring a princess castle. Her golden hair fell in messy curls, and her laughter made the room brighter, even when the light bulb above flickered. Maria whispered to herself, "You have to hold it together, for her." The first envelope. The next morning, Maria trudged down to the mailbox before catching the bus to work. She almost missed it at first, a plain white envelope with her name on the front, no return address. Inside was a receipt from her landlord, stamped, "Paid in full." Her heart jolted. She hadn't paid. She hadn't borrowed. Who had? She rushed to call her landlord, Mr. Johnson, an older man who rarely looked up from his newspaper when she paid rent in person. "I don't know what to tell you, Maria," he said. "Every month, your account's settled. Always comes on time, sometimes early. Payment always includes a note. Signed the same way every time, a friend. That's all I know." Maria's throat tightened. A friend? She had no one close enough to do this. Her family lived states away, barely keeping themselves afloat. Her coworkers were just as broke as she was. But sure enough, the next month, another envelope appeared. Rent, paid. The note, a friend. And the month after that, a lifeline in the dark. At first, Maria resisted the help. She felt guilty, like she was living off a stranger's charity. But as time went on, that guilt transformed into desperate relief. When Lily got sick in the fall and Maria had to miss shifts, the rent was paid. When Christmas came and she couldn't afford even a second-hand doll, an envelope appeared along with a box wrapped in silver paper, inside, the very doll Lily had begged Santa for. Sometimes Maria cried late at night, clutching the mysterious notes, whispering thanks into the darkness. Whoever this friend was, they had saved her and Lily from the streets. But deep down, a seed of fear grew. Nobody gave without reason. What if, one day, the friend came knocking, asking for repayment she couldn't possibly give? A glimpse of a stranger. One frosty evening in January, Maria came home from work just in time to see her landlord outside. Beside him stood a tall man in a long coat, his car idling at the curb. Sleek, black, expensive, the kind of car she'd only seen in glossy magazines. The man handed Mr. Johnson an envelope, his posture straight, his movements precise. Maria couldn't see his face clearly in the streetlight, but something about the way he carried himself struck her as powerful. Distant. Before she could approach, he slipped into the car and was gone, the taillights vanishing into the night. Her pulse raced. Could that be her friend? The note that changed everything. A month later, Maria found the envelope as usual. But this time, something was different. Instead of a friend, the note carried a name. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the paper. Written in smooth, deliberate handwriting were two words that froze her in place. Daniel Carter. Maria's breath caught. She knew the name. Everyone did. Daniel Carter, the billionaire. His company's name, Carter Industries, was plastered across downtown skyscrapers. He was in newspapers, business magazines, television interviews. Some called him ruthless, others a visionary. Either way, he was untouchable. And, now, his name was on the note paying her rent. Maria sank onto the stairwell, her mind reeling. Why would a man like him, a man with private jets, mansions, and millions in the bank, care about a struggling single mom in a rundown apartment? The search for answers. The mystery gnawed at her. She tried convincing herself it was a mistake. Maybe another Daniel Carter. Maybe some charity program she didn't remember applying for. But curiosity, and gratitude, drove her to find out. She went to the library on her lunch break and read every article she could find about him. Daniel Carter, age 38, CEO of Carter Industries. Known for innovation, philanthropy projects, and, Maria froze when she saw it, a foundation that supported struggling families. But still, why her? The meeting. The answer came on a Saturday morning when she opened her door and nearly dropped her coffee. Daniel Carter himself stood in the hallway. He looked exactly like his pictures, Tall, dark hair perfectly groomed, sharp suit even on a weekend. But up close, his eyes were softer than she expected, a stormy gray that held something familiar. "Maria Lopez?" he asked. His voice was calm, low. "Yes," she whispered, gripping the doorframe. "I'm Daniel Carter. I believe you've received some notes from me." Her breath hitched. "It was you." He nodded. "May I come in?" For a moment, Maria wanted to slam the door. But Lily peeked from behind her, clutching her doll, and Maria's protective instincts gave way to curiosity. She let him in. The truth. Daniel sat at the small kitchen table, looking almost out of place in the cramped apartment. Maria stood, arms crossed, trying to steady her racing heart. "Why?" she finally demanded. "Why me? Why my rent?" He leaned forward, his eyes fixed on hers. "You don't remember me, do you?" She frowned. "Should I? 10 years ago," he said slowly, "I was just another man trying to climb the ladder. I was in a car accident. A rainy night, a slippery road. My car flipped. Everyone drove by, except you." Maria's eyes widened. Images flickered in her mind. Yes, she had stopped once, years ago, when she was younger. She'd pulled over, called 911, even stayed with a stranger until help arrived. She hadn't thought about it in years. "That was you," she whispered. He nodded. "You sat with me, held my hand until the ambulance came. You didn't even know me, yet you saved my life that night. I never forgot your face." Tears stung Maria's eyes. "But that doesn't explain this. I didn't do anything extraordinary." "To me, it was extraordinary," he said softly. "You reminded me that kindness still existed when I was about to give up on people. I promised myself that if I ever found you, I'd repay that kindness. When I learned about your situation, I knew what I had to do." A new beginning. Maria covered her face with her hands, overwhelmed. "You've been keeping a roof over our heads," she whispered. "All because of that night." "Yes," he said simply. "But it's not charity, Maria. It's gratitude, and maybe something more." She looked up sharply. His gaze held hers steadily, and for the first time, she saw not just a billionaire, but a man carrying both power and loneliness. "I don't expect anything from you," he added quickly. "I only wanted to give back what you gave me, hope. But if you'll allow it, I'd like to do more. For you, and for Lily." Maria's heart pounded. It felt like too much, too fast. And yet, deep down, she knew his words were genuine. Epilogue. In the months that followed, Daniel's presence became more than a signature on a rent note. He helped Maria find a better apartment, arranged for Lily to attend a good school, and, slowly, became a part of their lives. Maria often wondered how her life had changed so drastically, from scraping pennies to sitting across from one of the richest men in the world. But when she looked at Daniel, laughing with Lily as they built puzzles on the living room floor, she realized it wasn't about money. It was about fate, about a single act of kindness that had come full circle. And every time she saw his name now, not on a note, but in her phone, in her home, in her heart, Maria no longer froze. She smiled, because her friend had turned out to be more than a benefactor. He had become family. The stack of bills on the kitchen table was taller than usual. Maria Lopez, 32 years old and exhausted from her double shifts at the diner, pressed her hands to her face. The numbers didn't add up. Rent was due in 2 days, $950, and her account balance showed $143. Her daughter, Lily, was sprawled on the floor, happily coloring with a half-broken crayon. At 6 years old, she had inherited her father's bright laugh and Maria's stubborn chin. Maria forced a smile whenever Lily looked up, hiding the fear that gnawed inside her. Hold it together. For her. The next morning, Maria checked her mailbox before heading to the bus stop. A plain white envelope sat inside. Her name, written neatly. She opened it with trembling hands and froze. It was a rent receipt. Paid in full. Confused, she called her landlord, Mr. Johnson. "There's a mistake," she said quickly. "I didn't pay this month. I was going to." "Not a mistake," he interrupted. "Your account's settled. Rent's been paid. Every month. Same time, same way. Always with a note. Says, a friend. That's all I know." Maria's jaw dropped. "But, who?" He chuckled. "Beats me. Lucky you. Lucky." That word didn't sit right. But sure enough, the following month, another envelope appeared. Rent, paid, note, a friend. And the month after that, At first, Maria resisted. She felt guilty, like she was living off a stranger's pity. But when Lily caught the flu that fall and Maria had to miss work, the rent still arrived. When Christmas came and Maria couldn't afford a single toy, a small box appeared alongside the envelope, inside, Lily's dream doll. Sometimes, Maria cried herself to sleep clutching those mysterious notes. Whoever this friend was, they had saved her and her little girl from the streets. But gratitude mingled with fear. Nothing in life came free. One day, surely, the debt would come due. Winter deepened. One frosty night, Maria returned from work and spotted her landlord outside. Beside him stood a man in a long coat, tall and poised. He handed Mr. Johnson an envelope, then slipped into a sleek black car that purred like a wild animal. Maria caught only a glimpse of his profile in the streetlight, sharp, commanding, familiar from somewhere. Her heart pounded. Could that be her friend? The following month, the note changed. Instead of a friend, the signature bore a name. Maria's hands shook as she unfolded the paper. Written in steady, deliberate handwriting were two words that sent chills through her body. Daniel Carter. Her knees buckled. Daniel Carter was one of the richest men in the country, his face plastered across newspapers, his company's skyscrapers looming over the city. Some called him ruthless, others a visionary. Either way, he was untouchable. And now, his name was on her rent note. Maria froze on the stairwell, the letter trembling in her hands. Why would a billionaire, that billionaire, care about her, a single mom scraping pennies in a run-down apartment? There was only one way to find out. Part 2. The Billionaire's Secret. Maria barely slept that night. She turned over possibilities again and again. Maybe it was a publicity stunt. Maybe she was part of some random, charitable program, but his signature looked too personal. Too intentional. Days later, the answer came knocking, literally. When Maria opened the door one Saturday morning, she nearly dropped her coffee. Daniel Carter himself stood in the hallway. He looked exactly like his photographs, tall, composed, expensive suit. Yet his storm gray eyes held a quiet warmth that surprised her. Maria Lopez, he asked in a calm voice. Her throat went dry. Yes, I'm Daniel Carter. I believe you've received some notes from me. Her grip tightened on the doorframe. It was you. He nodded. May I come in? Against her instincts, Maria stepped aside. Lily peeked curiously from behind her mother as the billionaire entered their tiny apartment, looking strangely out of place at the chipped kitchen table. Maria folded her arms, her voice trembling. Why me? Why my rent? Daniel studied her face for a long moment before answering. You don't remember me, do you? She frowned. Should I? 10 years ago, he began slowly, I was in a car accident. A rainy night, my car flipped. People drove past me without stopping, except one. You. Maria's eyes widened. Memory stirred. Yes, she had stopped once on a stormy night, pulled over, called 911, even sat with a stranger until the ambulance arrived. She hadn't thought about it in years. That was you, she whispered. Daniel nodded. You sat with me, held my hand while I thought I might die. You didn't know me, but you stayed. That night changed me. I never forgot your face. Tears stung Maria's eyes. But that doesn't explain all this. To me, it does, he said softly. That act of kindness gave me back faith in people at a time when I'd nearly lost it. I promised myself that if I ever found you again, I'd repay it. When I discovered your situation, helping you was the easiest decision I've ever made. Maria covered her mouth, overwhelmed. You've been keeping a roof over our heads all this time, she whispered. Yes, he said simply. But not out of pity. Out of gratitude, and maybe, hope. Her heart skipped. Hope for what? His eyes held hers, steady and sincere. That perhaps this isn't just repayment. That maybe it's the beginning of something more. Maria's breath caught. She had spent so long building walls, surviving day by day, never daring to dream of anything beyond. And yet here was this man, a billionaire, yes, but more than that, a man whose life she had touched without knowing. A man who remembered. In the months that followed, Daniel's presence became more than a signature on a note. He helped Maria and Lily move into a better apartment. He arranged for Lily to attend a good school. He even stopped by for dinners, where Lily would chatter about princesses and puzzles while Daniel listened with a smile that softened his whole face. Maria often sat back and watched them, marveling. How had her life changed so completely? From fear of eviction to safety, from loneliness to something she hadn't dared name. One evening, as they walked Lily home from school, Maria glanced at Daniel. "Why me?" she asked again, quieter this time. He smiled faintly. "Because once, when no one else stopped, you did. And you gave me something priceless, your kindness. I don't want to waste a second chance to return it." This time, Maria didn't argue. She simply reached for his hand. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel afraid of the future.